Hi, and good afternoon again. Bob Forche here, and today we are talking about the first installment of a series on S&OP, reviewing this from the perspective of supply chain performance and S&OP Maturity Assessment. So we've got a survey model built here, and we'll talk about that more as we get to the end, but there's 13 points that we're going to discuss, and we're going to break those up into individual videos here. The first one is going to be about culture, and we'll go through several others, talk about organization, participants, horizon, decision making, alignment, product management, demand management, supply management. Then we'll have metrics and analytics, and then the last will be data and systems. So those are the 13 areas we're going to talk about, and today we're going to talk about the culture. And I think the thing to get started with here is that many organizations grow from a small, young organization where we have to get process in place for how we do our particular job. So that might be R&D, that might be purchasing, it might be planning, it might be sales, it might be operations, capacity planning, operations in terms of scheduling, and then warehouse. So what we end up with here are several different silos, all growing their focus around how do they perform well in their job role. And that's really necessary when we have a young organization trying to get things all organized and get processes in place. But what we find is that those silos are somewhat disconnected, and there's a lot of information within the organization or detail that comes to us or goes from us to downstream, and that becomes very fractured. When we haven't organized ourselves in a cross-functional objective, we have reward mechanisms and bonus programs that focus on silo functional metrics, which is not going to help us move forward. We really have to get past that point, and so culture is where we start. We have a people segment here, and culture is the first thing to address. So looking at silo means we recognize there are skill sets that we have to use, that we need to leverage and continue to build on, but that's not in and of itself enough. We need to go beyond the silo thinking and get a step higher in our sales and operations planning to where we are thinking cross-functionally. We are driving one single plan of record that the entire organization is working to, and one set of metrics, objectives, and strategies. So this is where it has to be aligned and very well orchestrated. In the assessment for culture, the first one talks about how we have strategy, but it's not really connecting the silos well. We don't have a good way to share information between silos and the executive team. People tend to be focused on what's important to them and their functional role, and the outcome tends to be a lot of firefighting and reactionary kind of business. That isn't where we want to stay in our evolution for driving business performance. We want to find ways to improve on that. So when we use this approach of driving improvement, what we tend to do is we start to have informal collaboration, but it's still not around all of our functional silos yet. It tends to be very kind of hallway discussions. It tends to be very hit and miss. It's kind of fractured, and it isn't really the most effective in terms of communication model. So we recognize that's a second level of capability, but we have to move beyond that to something that's going to be more holistic, more solution oriented. So when we start thinking about a third level in culture, we're finding ways to think about alignment as the objective. So all of our KPIs need to be tied strategically to our business objectives, but within our balanced scorecard, we want to make sure that all the functional silos are connected in a very specific way to these business objectives at the high level. So we depart from being operational and embrace the strategic to a larger degree. Decision making in the S&OP has to involve risk management, portfolio management, product management, rationalize the product line, looking at maximizing the revenue, maximizing cash flow and profitability. And there's a lot of benefits here to think about how we want to manage risk and opportunities, and then of course decisions that are going to help us drive revenue and market share. So that's the most important thing to take away. When we do this assessment in the S&OP, we're going to start with culture. So look forward to seeing you at our next installment. We'll have a discussion on organization next. And thank you for your attention and time today. So look for our video on YouTube and also our LinkedIn. And so we'll see you again real soon. Thank you for your time today.